With the remakes of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl brings a new version of the Underground, the Grand Underground. This comes with new features like the Pokemon hideaways and pretty stone boxes that can be uncovered during the digging minigame. These boxes give you a Pokemon statue, and the box can either be random or have a type. For this challenge, I decided to let these boxes decide my team for the rest of the game. The challenge starts as soon as I get to Eterna City, so I'm going to be skipping everything up to that point. And once in the Underground, it was time to dig up my 6 boxes.
It is... Sudowoodo, that's not bad. That's a shiny box though. It is... a Clefairy? Oh, it's a Geodude! Okay, nice. That's... I've never had one of those before. Wow. Alright, final Pokemon is... I can't get that!
Sudowoodo, Clefairy, Geodude, another Sudowoodo, Mawile, and a Prinplup? Right, that's my team. It's not the best team, but it's not too bad, right? Now, let's look at where to get them. Bonsly, Route 209, just after Heart Home, if only I had Pearl. Never mind, I can get it from the Trophy Garden. I just need the National Dex. Clefairy, now I can find them in Mount Coronet. Geodude, I know I can get him at a high level in the Grand Underground. Mawile and Piplup are both in the Underground, but I need the National Dex. So I've got a Clefairy and a Geodude. At least I can evolve them. Never mind, Graveler needs to be traded. Time for the Grass Gym. Clefairy has to deal with most of the fight. Cherubi uses Dazzling Gleam so I can Copycat on turn 2. For Turtwig, I can Copycat turn 1 before using Disarming Voice to finish it. Out comes Geodude to take the hit with Sturdy and then self-destruct. Badge 2 was mine. Against Jupiter, my new Graveler was able to sweep with just a few turns, smack down the Zubat and bulldoze the Skuntank.
Is Citrus better than...
My rival Subscribe now has 4 Pokemon. Starly faints to a Smackdown, Clefairy learnt Grass Knot from the TM Erica gives, and that dealt with the Prinplup. Roselia was the main problem, but fainted to a single Bulldoze, and so did Ponyta.
There we go.
Upon reaching Veilstone, I was able to buy the TMs for Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, and Dazzling Gleam. Choosing these to Clefairy gave me pretty good coverage. I was ready to get my next badge from Maylene. Just used Dazzling Gleam. This dealt with the Meditite and Machoke, but her final Pokemon was Lucario, so I switched to Graveler and Bulldozed. Luckily it used Screech for the first turn. For the second turn my Sturdy was able to keep me alive, but it recovered HP from using Drain Punch, and this meant I didn't kill it. But because Bulldoze lowers their speed, on turn 3 I outsped and secured the badge. Crusher Wake was next. Thunderbolt his Gyarados, Grass Knot the Quagsire, self-destruct the Floatzel. I had to include Graveler at some point.
Ideally, it will just die.
Rival fight number 2, Smackdown Starly, T-Bolt Prinplup, Flamethrower Roselia, Bulldoze Ponyta. Gym 5, Drifblim faints to a few Thunderbolts. Graveler needs to deal with the Gengar, but thankfully it doesn't have Levitate so Bulldoze works, and her last is Miss Magius. Back to Clefairy to weaken it with Dazzling Gleam before Graveler finishes it off with Rock Blast. I'm not sure this was the best way to do this, but it worked. Before the 6th gym, my rival turns up again. He still leads with Staravia, so Graveler Rock Blasts. It needs to land 3 times.
Please hit 3 times. Good.
Roselia comes out next, Flamethrower 2 turns, and it's out. Prinplup, I use Thunderbolt, Ponyta, Graveler Bulldozes, and his new Pokemon Heracross, I Dazzling Gleam.
Rock Throw. And it's
time for the Steel Gym. He leads with a Bronzor that sets up with a Trick Room after I Flamethrower it. I stall until the Trick Room runs out and then knock it out. Next is Steelix. Flamethrower, luckily it uses Earthquake instead of Gyro Ball, and it's out in 2 turns. His last is a Bastiodon. Graveler outspeeds and bulldozes. I live its Flash Cannon with Sturdy, and a turn later, I win with another Bulldoze. Now I need to stop Team Galactic. First is Saturn. His Kadabra was bulldozed till he switched to his Bronzor. Clefairy then comes out to Flamethrower. Once he switches back to Kadabra, Clefairy finishes it off with a Dazzling Gleam. His last is Toxicroak. I heal Graveler and Dazzling Gleam. I should have just Dazzling Gleamed, but I ended up killing it with a Bulldoze from Graveler. Next is Mars. She leads with a Golbat, Graveler Rock Blasts it until it uses U-turn and switches to a Bronzor. Clefairy comes out to Flamethrower, and once she switches back to Golbat, Graveler tried to Rock Blast again, and it U-turns to a Purgly. It dies to Rock Smash. Never mind, it U-turns. She keeps U-turning till I knock them both out.
That fight was much longer than it should have been.
I felt like it was time for me to get Clefable, so before heading to Snow Point, I went and dug up a Moonstone. Candace, the leader of the Ice-type gym, was easy. Flamethrower her Snova, Sneasel is Moonblasted, and so is Medicham. Her last is a Bombless Snow, Flamethrower Oko's it.
I think it's dead.
Back to stopping Team Galactic, and this time I fight Cyrus, the leader. Rock Blast dealt with his entire team. And then it's Saturn again. Kadabra died to an Earthquake, Toxicroak, also an Earthquake, and Bronzor, a Flamethrower. The double battle at the top of Mount Coronet with my rival was easy, even though he is useless. And now it was time for the final fight with Cyrus. He starts with a Honchkrow, and it lives the first Thunderbolt, and he heals it a few times, but eventually, I do knock it out. Crobat, Graveler Rock Blasts it, Gyarados comes out, and I switch back to Clefable to Thunderbolt. It outspeeds due to the Tailwind set up by Crobat. A Berry stops it from being OHKO'd, so I heal.
No, I outspeed.
His last is Weavile. RNG Friendship Dodge keeps me alive, and Moonblast one-shots. On to the final gym, an electric gym. Vulcan's Raichu knows Surf, but I still Earthquake as Graveler has Sturdy. It lives due to a berry. I end up switching to Clefable to Moonblast, but he uses Volt Switch and switches to an Amber Pop. It faints. Back to Raichu, which continues to Volt Switch. I one-shot each of his Pokemon as they came out, until he only has his Raichu left. But it looks like the fight is lost, as I'm low HP and slower. He uses Surf, but I get an RNG Friendship Dodge, winning the fight. With all 8 badges collected, I headed to the Pokemon League to fight my rival for the last time. The first attempt, I lost to his Empoleon, as I didn't outspeed and it's super effective to both of my Pokemon. For the second attempt, I had a plan. He leads with Staraptor, so I lead with Clefable and Thunderbolt. It takes 2 turns due to his Focus Sash. Next is Rapidash, Graveler Earthquakes. I switch to Clefable and use an X-Speed. Now I outspeed until I switch out. Flamethrower takes 2 turns to kill and I end up getting paralyzed, so I make sure to cure that before knocking it out. Empoleon comes out and the X-Speed works. I outspeed. It doesn't die in 1 turn, but I manage to tank the Flash Cannon.
Flash Cannon, please don't one-shot.
I healed up so I didn't die to the Aqua Jet that it didn't use, 1 more Thunderbolt, and it's out. 2 left. His new Snorlax comes out. I stay in to keep the X-Speed for Heracross and use Moonblast. Snorlax yawned and put me to sleep. I had to switch. I miscounted my item usage and accidentally used 1 more than I was allowed, healing Clefable. But in the end, Clefable got the RNG Wake Up and Moonblasted the Heracross, winning the fight. I was ready to challenge the league. I had one plan. Turn 1, set up a Reflect or a Light Screen, depending on the fight, then use X special attacks as 2 of my free items, and then spam 1 move as I had a Metronome. For the first member, I put up my Reflect, and after X special attacking for the next 2 turns, I spam Flamethrower to try and save Moonblast PP.
Although I do have ETH. Beautifly is dead, he's got 2 more Pokemon.
On the Vesper Queen, I re-put my Reflect for the Drapion, and then knocked it out with Moonblast. Graveler deals with Drapion using Earthquake
And
twice.
this way, Clefable also gets the extra XP.
Fight 2 against Bertha. The same plan was used. Reflect, X special attack, but this time I spam Grass.
Goes Quagsire. I'm too strong.
The Reflect goes back up on the Sudowoodo before Grass knotting the rest.
Because if he had hit, it didn't make a difference. I don't know why.
Flint, the third member of the Elite Four, I lead with Graveler and Earthquake the Rapidash. Lopunny comes out, I Reflect, use the X special attacks, and then spam Moonblast.
Felix is dead. Nice. Will-O-Wisp.
For Lucian, I used Light Screen, but here the plan didn't work. Mr. Mime outspeeds Clefable, and I would need to heal after using the X special attacks, and in the end, I wouldn't one-shot the Bronzong, and after it Trick Roomed, I would lose the fight. To fix this problem, rather than healing, I used an X-Speed. Now, I outsped everything, so it didn't matter that I would die in 1 hit, as I killed in 1 hit before they moved.
And then build it back up, and it's like, what if I don't
I had made it to Cynthia. Using the same plan as against Lucian, I set up my Light Screen. I used 2 X special attacks and 1 X speed. That's all of my items used. It didn't matter, I outsped all of her Pokemon and 1 hit them.
and I die? Blast me, Moonblast. Be Moonblast. Yeah, Stradon is dead. This is super effective. No, it's not. It's neutral, I think. Blast. And Moonblast is also super effective. But I outspeed because I used an X attack.
And that's it. I'd beaten the game with a Clefable and a Grappler. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to subscribe as I do challenges in other games. Thanks for watching.